Welcome to Emotional Intelligence Simplified. This is a weekly podcast focused on demystifying and discussing what emotional intelligence is. Demystifying what emotional intelligence is has become the main agenda for Profiles International as they continue in their quest to molding cultures. This podcast seeks to explore the everyday story through the lens of emotional intelligence. We discuss the key elements of emotional intelligence that allows people to connect with others, collaborate effectively, and make more effective decisions, whether at the workplace or in our personal lives. Join us as we explore with our guests the elements of emotional intelligence and other key areas such as well-being, creating safety in your area of influence, growing each day in resilience, and so much more. I am Angela Muhaki, an emotional intelligence practitioner and coach, and also a professional mediator and broadcaster. Welcome to Emotional Intelligence Simplified. Today, we have with us Kezie Kihara, who's a HR professional with over 15 years experience. She's currently working in the apparel industry. Kezie is a certified Genos EI practitioner. Now, Kezie is very passionate about creating opportunities for people to thrive at the workplace and beyond. Karibu sana, Kezie. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Angela. I'm very well, and thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure we're going to have interesting discussions on emotional intelligence. So let's start with, who is Kezie, other than what I have said? If we were to talk about you, who's Kezie when we're not looking?
Wow. Apart from all that you've said, somebody who likes to have fun, somebody who does a lot of things outdoors.
I know you're a golfer. What else do you do?
I run, I hike.
Let me tell you, she's trim. When we grow up, we want to be like Kezie.
Thank you very much for that compliment.
So that's who Kezie is.
Yes, and of course, I'm a mother, 2 beautiful children, I'm a wife, a sister, and many other roles. You know, as women, we play a lot of roles in life. So
that's true.
Yes.
We have a lot of things that we need to do. Now, let's talk about you being a HR practitioner. What is the role of emotional intelligence in the HR area?
Let me start by saying HR management is about managing people.
Yes.
And people are about emotions. And therefore, that's how emotions come into this aspect. And we spend about 40 hours in the workplace. And in a week, in those hours, you'll find that emotions will have to come out in each and everything you're doing.
Yes.
For example, from a HR perspective, if I give an employment contract to somebody, some emotions are there.
There's joy, happiness, excitement, yes.
Yes. Now think about when I'm taking somebody through a disciplinary matter. These emotions there. Therefore, emotional intelligence in the workplace is very, very key and important when it comes to working and managing people, because it is applicable throughout the whole process of managing people. Before they join, when they've joined and they're with you, and even after exit, they will still be required to ensure that you have the relevant emotional intelligence to be able to manage all that in HR.
But are we actually, is HR now beginning to adopt? Because usually we know HR is about technicalities and penalties, but are we becoming more aware and using emotional intelligence more in your experience?
Yes, and this is one thing I would recommend to all HR practitioners and even leaders to go through the emotional intelligence certification, because most of the aspects we're already practicing them, but maybe they haven't been put in a very structured way. But then now when you're aware, when you identify and you're able to manage, then it makes it much, much easier for you in the workplace.
And also as a leader, as you're saying.
Yes.
So now how can workers develop emotional intelligence, especially in regards to a particular project?
One, first of all, in my opinion, you've got to know what emotional intelligence is. And I said earlier, we're already practicing it. And it's about being able to identify how you feel and how other people feel, how they react and how you react to their reactions, and then how do you manage that? So in a project, what happens? Different people are brought in from different departments, for example.
Exactly.
There'll be many stakeholders. There'll be the sponsors of the project. You will have the technical guys. You have the subject matter expert. All those people come into place. And the first thing is they're forming a team.
Yes.
And we all know how dysfunctional it starts.
Yes, because we don't know who's taking the lead. There's that one who should be taking the lead is thinking it's not me.
Yeah.
I'm not the one. So there's a lot of tussle going on.
Yeah. And therefore, when you know what the competencies of emotional intelligence, at that point, then now you know exactly what you need to do. First of all is identify the players in the place. And most important is know what your objective of the project is. Mm-hmm. And for example, as a leader, you will need to know that you have to inspire the people you're working with to be able to perform.
I like what you have just said. Inspire. Old-fashioned HR is threats.
Yeah.
You shall get a memo, you'll get a warning, you shall do what.
Yeah.
So I like that switch. Now we're talking about inspiring. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And how do you inspire? As you said, it's not about threatening people. I need this report by tomorrow. I need this done by this particular day. But it's first of all, knowing your people, understanding your people, and being aware of them and yourself.
Okay.
And also being very authentic as a leader. Mm-hmm. Knowing at what point can I also put myself out there, be transparent and being open to my people. Because remember, we are people.
Yes.
We relate with each other when we feel we are almost at the same level.
Or I feel acknowledged, recognized, appreciated. Yes.
Exactly. Rather than, as you said, taking the whip and cracking it to the people. And other things is in terms of in the project, we are there to deliver. So what are you going to use to ensure that at the end of the day you deliver? When it comes to emotional intelligence, we talk about using facts and data rather than emotions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Instead of saying, I don't think you delivered that project properly, I would be saying, did you look at this information? What did you use to consider? But not saying, I think Angela is just lazy. She just didn't do this. Maybe she didn't have the information and the data that was required. And also, again, when you are aware of people and their emotion and you identify the kind of emotion that are at play, you're then able to critically look at how else can you work with these people to ensure that at the end of the day, the reason we are here, we are able to achieve the mandate of why we are here. And so knowing what competencies are at play when working with people, managing yourself, is a good way to develop your EI, your emotional intelligence. And as I said earlier, doing the certificate you'll be able to know what are those things, what are those competencies in emotional intelligence that I need to look out for and I need to be aware as I'm working and dealing with people.
And I like that at least when HR starts looking at the competencies and understanding who the team is and how it works. Mm-hmm. So if you not, I like the examples you've given so far.
Yeah.
But so now, like for you as a HR practitioner, your knowledge now, how have you been different since you became aware? What are the things you have now learned? Now that you're a HR, you're a genius emotional intelligence practitioner. Yeah. How has it impacted you?
Very good question, Angela. HR, or when we work in organization, we are governed by policies, rules, and regulation, where a policy says you clock in at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
However, now having done the EI certification about, I think it's 3 years ago, I have now learned that Angela is not late because she wants to be late.
No.
But I'll wait for Angela to come and I'll have a session with her and ask her, Angela, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And just by being empathetic and listening to what Angela has to say, you're able to work and manage people.
Yes.
You listen more.
Yes.
And with that, then you can make your decision on what's going on. Because having a policy that says 8 o'clock, report, clock in at 8 o'clock, clock out at 5 o'clock, does that really make people perform?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Yes.
Therefore, with now EI, I am more aware or I am more present than I was before. I will not just look at my work from a more technical way of looking at it, but now I'm including all these other things we've learned in EI. I'm asking myself, am I transparent to my staff or my direct reports? Do I look at my manager also and think about what kind of relationship we are having? So being a bit more present, how I show up is totally different than the way I would show up before. Before it was more of, I am here to do a job.
These are rules and regulations.
Yes. But now I do my job with, I would say, with a more open-minded way that...
And there's some humanity, there's more humanity in it.
Everything is not stuck on stone. Like now, think about when you're taking somebody through a disciplinary process.
Yes.
I don't think there's anybody who goes to work and decides they're not going to perform.
No, definitely not.
It can't happen.
No one would want that, yeah.
There's a reason. But if you are more empathetic and you listen to them, and you pick the emotions at that particular time. And for me now also, I've got to be aware of my emotions. Instead of reacting as a HR director and cracking the whip, I will listen to what's going on. I'll be more aware. And with that, then now we can find a solution that works for both the organization and the employee. Rather than, you're
punishing
not performing,
or doing something.
There is a door, you're out.
And that makes the workplace a better place?
A better place. And people produce or perform when the environment is conducive, when you're relating on a one-on-one, rather than from your leaders, your managers, and your employees, or what we call your associates. That if you break all those barriers, and the only way to break those barriers is by interacting on a one-on-one, being a bit more present rather than, almost not being there. And also asking yourself, what information do I have that I can work with, rather than, always following what is scripted.
So we're no longer just sticking to the file and saying this person is this years old, has done this, and we're now looking at a more holistic aspect of the person. Exactly.
We are able to be more efficient and effective when we employ your EI competencies at the workplace or as a HR manager, rather than the way we were doing it before.
I like how you said what you were doing before. So can you share with me some of the challenges you experienced in the HR industry before understanding emotional intelligence?
I think I made a lot of decisions which I wouldn't make like today. Yeah. So when I'm faced with before I would be faced with a challenge, and as I said, you would follow the scripted rules.
Written there. Policy says, if you do 3 times you're late in a month, X will happen.
Yes. And remember, we've said HR management is about people, and people have emotions.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you bring that aspect, and as we said, you identify, you understand, and you manage those emotions, you will definitely be able to work better with your teams. So if I went back a couple of years back,
yes,
there are many decisions I would not have made. That right now I make them very differently because I'm more equipped.
Would you like to share like some of the before EI and after? Like an illustration maybe?
Okay, like I do remember in one of the places I worked where we had an issue, and I was told that I wasn't performing, or maybe I wasn't even performing, but there was an issue in terms of my performance. And my first reaction was to quit. And
you're like, what are they saying?
Yeah, I'm a super performer. I have the best.
Never had that problem.
I'm the best there is in the market. How can they say I'm not performing? And I almost did quit because I felt attacked.
Yes.
I didn't get time to understand where
they were coming from.
Management was coming from. And they also didn't get to understand what the issues were. If I went back to that situation, I quit, by the way. If I went back to that situation, I would most likely have sat and understood where we are coming from.
So when you say I'm underperforming, what do you mean exactly?
Exactly. In what area? And quitting, taking off is not it's not the solution. Sometimes sitting back and finding the problems and how to get a solution is actually better. Because where is this you're going? You will go and find a place where it's even maybe worse off than where you are. Yeah. So that is a good example of how the decisions I was about to make was out of, I was angry, I felt attacked. But now, if I would be more self-aware of where I am and my emotions, and also I'll be thinking, hold on, my manager is also coming from a certain place. How do I understand my manager?
Yes.
And how do I manage this relationship and improve on it? And then we can proceed. but not by getting angry and quitting, making, spur of the moment decision without having, when we talk about AI, we talk about emotional reasoning. I should have used the information from my boss, and she should also have used the information from me to come up with a better solution. But you see now when I say, okay, I'm quitting, most likely for her, she was like, okay, we'll get somebody else who at least can do the job.
Yes, but I like how you've brought in the issue of self-awareness, that get aware, I am in this situation right now. It is not pleasant. I am offended. I am angry. I need to step back and breathe. Yeah, I have been... I don't know, maybe with time we get wiser as well, because it's true. You sit back and you're like, wow, dare. And
another good example is you write an email, somebody responds, and their response, you look at it and you're like,
what
and you start typing away. You type, you're angry, click send, it goes. The repercussions of that email you've sent is just... But now... what do?
Yes.
I will still type that same email, but there's no address to who. Then I'll keep it in draft. Then I'll go cool down, then come back and read the email. And maybe how I read it before, it will not appear the same way.
Yes.
And then my response, I'll delete everything and type again, because I am now more self-aware of my emotions, of how I react, and how it will be perceived by other people. And the other way around, I'm thinking, that person wrote that email, where are they coming from? What information or what data do they have for them to be able to respond like that? And maybe instead of sending an email, go and sit with them across the desk and say, okay, can we discuss this situation?
Yes.
Before I would type quickly, off that email.
Even me, I can write.
Click send, and then I go and say, I nimemjibu, huh? How can she? I've sent. Let's see what her response will be. So something like that, yeah.
No, I like that, because actually in the job scene that happens a lot. Sometimes we're quick to act, or you don't read it properly, or depending on, as you're saying, maybe your frame of mind.
Yes.
It was a very simple thing, like, I have not received your report. So you sit back because I'm having a bad day. Is she trying to say I never did it?
Yes.
Maybe I have done it, but I hadn't sent it.
You hadn't sent. Or they maybe didn't see it when they scrolled down their emails, they didn't pick it. Then you'll be saying, actually, I sent, but let me resend.
Yeah.
Or yes, I didn't send, here it is, and I apologize.
Exactly.
But before, maybe you start covering yourself because you think you'll be fired and all that.
So yeah, it's very important. That's why we're talking about self-awareness and also awareness of others.
Yeah.
Now that you're in that supervisory position and where we have other managers who are listening to us, what are some of the things they need to start adopting? Managers and leaders, people leading teams, because whether you like it or not, we will, human beings, like you said, we're emotional. So what are some of the tips that you can give our managers and supervisors and our leaders so as to be able to work with their people?
Yeah. And Angela, actually, a lot of people think emotional intelligence is for leaders and senior people.
It's for everyone.
But actually, it's for everybody. It cuts across because you're working with everybody. But the first thing you need to do is, one, identify your emotion at that particular moment. What are you feeling? I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm depressed. Why are you feeling like that? Then when you identify it, you need to start understanding what it means, why, and then how do you manage it? So, for example, the simple example of the email.
Yes.
Why did that email make you angry? What about that email?
Is it the person? Or is
it
the words?
The person. It could be you don't like that person for maybe you had a fallout over something work-related, but you've carried that on with you for a very long time.
Yes.
And then you're able to manage all that. Some other things is about being within emotional intelligence, being authentic, being yourself. As leaders and managers, we want to carry ourselves a certain way.
Yes.
But are you really being real?
Are you being real? Are you being human?
You're
because
not
sometimes
being
we
human.
pretend like we don't have
problems. But remember,
problems.
we are saying even with AI, even if you develop a very high skill of AI, it doesn't mean you don't react to things.
We're human beings first. You will get upset.
It's just that you react a bit differently. You have to get angry because you're human. You have to be happy. You have to, want to lash out to somebody. But at the end of the day, it's how you go about it. Again, when it comes to being genuine,
yes,
with yourself and even with other people. So if somebody comes and is giving you an issue that they are having, you don't just brush them off and you think, those are your personal issues. Because again, work and life are very well integrated and those emotions cut across. So as a leader, you've got to be there for them. And when you're there for them, what you'll find is that that improved relationship, again, goes on to having high productivity within the workplace. Because I know my manager, Angela, understands if today I'm late, she knows about me and she's opened up herself as a manager and she's accessible and I'm able to go and talk to her and let her know what's going on. Right. And therefore, I am actually not afraid when I'm at work.
Or even if I'm stuck in or you're stuck in the traffic or something has gone wrong, you're not panicking.
I'm not panicking.
You have peace.
Yes, because I know Angela trusts me. There's a lot of trust in our relationship as a manager and as an employee. And I will still deliver what I need to deliver because I know I was late. Therefore, I will ensure either I take more time to manage what I needed to manage and deliver it, rather than saying, oh, you know what, she'll still be angry. Can you imagine when you walk into the workplace and you're feeling my manager really is not there for me? My manager is not even vulnerable enough to ensure or to behave like she's a human. As we are the human ones, she's a leader, she's a manager. So those are some of the aspects when it comes to leaders knowing how to manage their people and ensuring that they're inspiring their people and improving productivity as you go on, be more accessible.
Yeah, because, usually sometimes problems in an organization happen because the leader does not inspire.
Yes.
Because people will follow somebody who makes them feel present, acknowledged, recognized.
Yes.
Because I remember we had a discussion like this somewhere, and one of the so-called leaders was like, but if I get to their level, they'll not respect me. And I was like, we are communicating because they want to create that. There's still leader. So how do we balance that? Because also you don't become too familiar where we're cracking jokes. Hey, so you now. I mean, how do we create, how do you balance that? Being able to relate, but still keeping the level of authority. How do we balance that?
At the end of the day, first of all, the structures in the workplace will do that for you. But in case you are working in the same level with your colleagues and then you're the one who is promoted, having those discussions in terms of going forward, this is how I want to work.
Okay.
Or this is how we should work. But at the same time, you can't be somebody different because they know you. You can't now all of a sudden walk in and lock yourself in your office, come out only for coffee and go back. And that's what we are saying about being authentic. You've got to be yourself.
Yes.
But then at the end of the day, you've got to remember the reason why we are here. It is to deliver and meet our KPIs. And so with your employees, we should also know that. So engaging them.
And I think for me, most important is what you said, express how you want things done.
Yes.
Because sometimes things don't get delivered because we don't know.
Yeah.
We're all assuming we know.
Yeah.
But no one has said this is how we're going the way forward.
Yeah.
So that one is truly, really good. Now, as workers, how do we, or as people like me, I want to move on to the next level and whatever. How do I use EI to get to my targets and to, get better performance ratings and appraisals?
First and foremost, you need to understand what EI is.
Yes.
And I would actually ask people who've not gone through this program to go through that program. And then there's an assessment that is done so that you get to understand where you are in terms of the EI skill, where you get assessed by different people. I think it's almost a 360 assessment.
Yes, under Gino's that one, so that you have people above you, people at level with you, and even maybe people you oversee.
Because the only way to be self-aware is also getting feedback from people. I could be thinking I'm the superstar, but I'm not. So once you have that assessment done, then now you know where your gaps are. Once you know where your gaps are, there are ways of working on those gaps and improving your EI skill. And with that, you become a better leader. And again, EI, I keep saying it's for everybody.
It's for all of us.
Yeah. But I guess even me, before I did the EI program, I used to think the more senior and older you are, the more emotional, intelligent you should be. But you'll be surprised.
It's not
that
true.
That is not the case. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's far from the truth.
It's very
Sometimes you could be very senior and very everything, but your EI is below sea level.
You don't see anybody else. You just see yourself.
That can be a challenge. Now, I like what you have said about us being able to get feedback and accepting it. And I think that is so important when you look at emotional intelligence, is being able to listen, hear the criticism, or it's not really criticism, hear it, and then now manage your emotions in response to what you've had.
Yeah.
And I like how you said that emotional intelligence we've been doing it without knowing.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Because you have some guys in the office who somehow they manage everyone, whatever they want gets done.
Yeah.
And you're not too sure how.
Yes.
So how do we also learn to spot out this potential in people and lift it?
From an EI,
Yes.
EI perspective, again, what you just mentioned about giving feedback, you've got to give people feedback about where they are. And feedback is two-way. There is the areas of strength and areas of development. We don't call them weaknesses because that's...
it sounds like a nice word. I like it. From now on, I'll be using areas of
development. Where can we move you from where you are currently to the next level? For example, there are people who can be authentic at work because they feel, I can't show my developmental areas. I can't even cry in the office because people will think I'm very weak. But now,
wait, are we supposed to cry in the office?
You have to be authentic.
Me, I didn't know
if you get to a level, or if you get to a level where
the people around me also wondering
to express yourself at that particular moment. Okay, I'm not saying
it depends on your nature. Okay, there are some of us here when we're very happy. There are some who cry. When they're happy. They cry. When they're sad, they cry. Yeah.
I'm not saying now you just break down in front of a group of people.
Okay.
But you can take a few minutes and say, "Excuse me, I'll be back. Give me 5 minutes." You go to the washroom and you get it all out, and then now you come back, or just step out and walk for 5 minutes and come back. Again, that's being self-aware. You'll be able to bring your emotions to a level where you can deal with them, and then now you can progress on.
Now, let me throw in HR, and then let's say in that same situation, I'm upset. So I have taken my 5 minutes off. Somebody might wake up and decide they have been rude.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we manage that? I like this is a very good way. So let's look at now. Yeah. So imagine if it's a person who, and like you before EI. So you've called me to your office and you're like, Angela, we're not very happy with you. You've given me feedback and I have decided where I take a walk.
Yeah. I would actually think you're being very rude.
Exactly. So you see, how do we now for people? Exactly.
Yes.
How do we help people understand that sometimes? How do we manage that issue so that they don't think, yeah, did she just do that? She walked out on me.
Now with EI, you've learned that you've got to manage your emotions and other people's emotions, and you have to understand them. That person is not crazy. They just didn't walk out just because. They've got to come back to the table and you have a discussion. And they'll say, I needed a minute. And because now you do understand that these things happen, then you will accept that and say, yeah, the person needed a minute, but let's move on. But of course, also it depends on when you're moving on, what will happen after that. If again, they keep walking and slamming the door, you might think, okay, here we do have a problem and we might have to encounter it. But again, you almost have to open your eyes wider and maybe your heart wider to be able to look at the situation and ask yourself what's going on with that person. And then also ask yourself, when it comes now to managing yourself, why am I reacting like that? Why am I feeling that person, it was insubordination?
Yes.
Is it because we had an issue before, or because I am sitting on such a high horse that I think people can't behave like that around me? But again, we are human.
Like that. I like that. So we really need to look at ourselves. Now, this is I'm going back to you in your experience, especially now that you're an EI practitioner. Can you think of a situation you can share where, had it been the normal HR, where you literally bent the rules and changed things over from the normal HR policy or practice? I'm sure you have a nice story for us there.
Okay, let me see. Oh, I remember one comes to mind. In my role, I manage different countries. And with different countries, the benefits and how the Employment Act and everything is applied is very, very differently.
Yes.
So we had this situation of one of our ladies was expecting and she was going to have a cesarean section. But the medical cover we have in that country does not cover this. Yes. Actually, it doesn't cover maternity at all. And secondly, within the organization, we have a policy of we don't do staff loans and we are not a financial institution. And at that moment, I asked myself, our rules and policies, this is clearly what it states. But how do we expect this girl to go and get her baby, be able to pay for all those medical bills? And I stopped and said, no, this one, something has to be done. Of course, I had to engage a couple of people, got a few heads rolling and been asked, this lady, why does she want us to do things differently? But you've got to come back and sit with them and tell them, I don't see this working in any other way. To an extent where you say, if the company can't do anything, then personally, I would have to think of what has to be done. But of course, that's the time now they feel, okay, there is an issue here. And eventually what happened is that now a fund was set up for that country to be able to have access to your maternity cover, dental cover, and optical cover, which essentially is not something in the organization that would do. But I was going to bend that rule too until it completely breaks, so that something was done to that lady. And for me, why did I do it? This was after, of course, attending to EI. It's because I put myself in that lady's shoes.
I love that. Exactly. You became human and you started walking in people's shoes.
Yes.
And I think you're sending a message. You say that you're not saying it loudly. So me, I'll say it. HR practitioners, it's not about the policies you have. You need to adjust them.
Yeah.
To cater for the needs of your staff.
Exactly.
So that they feel appreciated and they will perform better.
They perform better. Your productivity goes up because they feel connected. They're more engaged with you and with the organization.
And there's loyalty. And loyalty is everything.
Yeah, that's very right.
So now at least people in that country are now better catered for.
They're better catered for.
And I'm sure they perform better.
And the question is, how many children are they getting in a year? Most likely.
Well, 2 at the most.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you've got to put yourself in other people's shoes and ask yourself, what role am I playing in ensuring that our employees are more engaged, they're happier in the workplace, and you're making the organization more human than it is.
Now, okay, this is a discussion we started having before we started this recording, but I think it's a good time to talk about it. In certain organizations, especially these days now, this thing of working from home or working from other places, what has been your experience? You know, in some places they tell you, in here 8 o'clock, clock in, we make sure you with your fingerprints so that we know you're there. And now at 5 o'clock you leave. How does HR need to move and become, adjust to the times we are living in now?
That's a really good point. And it came very clear. It was very clear when COVID started, where people realized, hold on, I don't have to sit on a desk in the office and I don't have to see my staff seated around for work to go on. And with the 2 years that there was COVID and people worked from home, there was still productivity. And in fact, a lot. People worked even more hours, although working more hours, that doesn't mean there's more productivity, but there was more productivity. So it is in terms of, having trust, one, with your employees. You trust they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But of course, that trust goes both ways and it has to be earned.
Yes.
Have very clear deliverables of, in your role, what are you supposed to be delivering? Then you deliver that. It doesn't matter whether it is at night, during the day and all that. And again, as leaders, the more we engage with our employees, the more they get to know us, the more we are vulnerable with them, the more we understand them, the more they will actually do what they need to do. So you will not need to sit them and see them working. Like I keep saying, I could be sitting behind my desk, but I'm watching Netflix. Very busy watching movies or running my small little business. As you know, a lot of Kenyans always have a side hustle somewhere and all that. So with that, HR managers, one, if you haven't done EI, you must, because that is the only way, first of all, you can be able to manage people better. And remember, leaders are looking up to you when it comes to managing people.
Yes.
So that you can help them transition into better leaders and even managers into better managers. And as a result, better employees in the workplace, better company at the end of the day. Everything works very well and falls into place.
So that's what I'm saying now. How do we convince the HR industry to stop being so rigid?
Are we really that rigid?
No, I like how you're open. Think about certain institutions, because it's been happening from 1907. Those are the rules. How do we get HR to evolve and listen, like what you're saying, be more human, be more understanding? What are the things we need to do? Is it we need to do more workshops for HR consultants, HR practitioners? How do we get them to soften up and be more, as we said, more relatable? Is it through policies? What is it we're going to do to make things better?
Policies,
you're in the ground. That's why I'm asking you this question.
Policies will still be something somebody will want to follow. You want
so how do we move them? Yes, how do we work on that?
I guess like now a podcast like this,
yes,
and the different sessions that I know Profiles International runs, they are a good way of starting.
Yeah,
like we had Profiles International had a breakfast the other day.
Yes,
and really try to demystify what EI is. And as we've said many times here, and I'm sure it has been said before, it is stuff we're already doing. It's just that we're not doing it in a very structured way, or we are not aware we're actually doing it. Therefore, if we get the HR team, who eventually will get their leaders and their managers, and then the whole organization understanding AI, because again, you can go through the program and then go and cascade the same thing with your leaders and your employees.
Yeah.
And then now when they see how you are actually operating, they will see there's a difference. Before, she said, but the policy said, in this organization, we don't do ABCD. But then now you can say, hold on, let me see how we can work with that. So you've also got to walk the talk.
No, I like this because you've just set it up nicely for me. So the people who knew you then and now, what do they say? What are the changes they have seen even in where you work and how you work? What are the changes you think, what is the impact you think you have created after having become an AI practitioner?
One, I'll say, looking at the culture, we become more connected because like before, we had offices where the leaders would sit on a different side. And when I joined, having worked also in other places and also having gone through EI, I realized this can't work. Why should the admin people sit here? So we said, we are breaking up. There are no offices. We created now office booth for calls if you've got a conference call, because let's say you don't want to have a call when everybody's listening. So we have now office booths where when you have a call, you get in. The other thing we don't actually have, we call it hoteling. You sit wherever, or desking. You don't have
a fixed
desk. You come, you sit wherever. So today I'll be sitting next to Angela. Tomorrow I'll be sitting next to Dorcas. I'll be sitting next to, somebody else. And with that, we start getting to know each other. We start having a bit more open relationship. And the minute you open that up, the workplace becomes a better place for everybody. People look forward to coming to work.
It sounds like a plan. I mean, I like that idea. It sounds really good. Yeah. So are the bosses also sitting anywhere?
Everybody sits anywhere. There's no desk
everyone, as in CEO, I don't know who.
But also the other thing is also to get the leaders recognize that we have to set the example.
Okay.
We have to be more there for our people. We have to engage them on a one-on-one, on a more human level than, as leaders. And with that, you'll find that you can even joke around in the office and nobody will take that personally.
Yes.
Because of course, everybody know where the limits are, because you are also in the workplace, you've got to respect each other.
Yeah.
You also can't go just the way I would respect you, Angela. I will not just say anything to you. So there's that, but I can throw a joke to you and you will take it. But before, in fact, when the leaders walked in, everybody went quiet.
Like just come.
Yeah. Like the other day, we were away for a staff event for a weekend, and just the way everybody was free. They didn't care that the head of the business is right there. If people said, we are going to the disco, all of us, you dance with your nice dancing style, you don't know how to dance.
You do.
And that
you
tells you,
the next song,
people felt, they were very authentic. The leaders are also very vulnerable. They are saying, this is actually me. I can dance with you guys. And with that, you'll find that it really opens up conversations.
Yes.
And conversations that are very, very meaningful, whereby you are not trying to please me.
No.
I'm being open with you. I'm telling you what's going on. And you as a leader, you're listening.
So what are some of the discoveries you've made now that you have this friendly atmosphere? I'm sure there are things you've learned. Because I can imagine maybe now you've discovered other skills you didn't know your people had, or potential, or other things. What are some of the things now you've learned in this nice? I almost want to come and join your workplace. I think
you should. We are having a lot of fun and doing a lot of work and working very smart. You learn that, the one thing I learned is that when you give people an opportunity to be themselves, by you as a leader, first of all, being very open, and also being available. Yeah. Those closed door policies and all that, those things are out through the window these days. When you're accessible, then you find people are themselves. When they are themselves, when there's a problem in the workplace, they don't keep quiet. They don't try and hide the problems under the desk. They'll come and say, okay, you know what? This was supposed to go 2 weeks ago. It didn't go. We are here now. It didn't go. There's nothing much you can do.
Yeah, let's sort it out.
Rather than a couple of months later discovering, and at that point, there's nothing much you can do. And then also as a leader, you say, okay, why? What happened? You listen. You hear what they're saying, and then ask, okay, what can we do to ensure this doesn't happen? Yeah. But of course, it doesn't mean now you can be doing whatever you want.
No, but I like that there's inclusion.
Yes.
But there's still structure.
Yeah. So you actually I find that there's a lot more now going on in the organization than it was before. Fine, we were still delivering, but people are delivering in a happier way now.
Which is better. People
are more excited to come to work because you're feeling, okay, we are all one, and whatever is going on, I can always talk to my manager. If for one reason or another, I'm not able to come to work and I can only work from home, just shoot a message and say, because of ABCD reasons, I would ask to work from home this week. You know what? Because we've opened up the channels of communication, the manager doesn't feel like you're, being dicey.
You're trying to take advantage or you're being shady.
The work will still be done. So, of course, it's a journey. It takes time. And now we are there. It's not 100%, but things are totally different from where I sit.
I think this is amazing. It's really good. And I think it's a good way to, as we get to the end, I think what I've really enjoyed is how you have given us your personal experience and shown us just how much emotional intelligence can make a difference.
Yes.
I mean, I almost want to apply and come and join your office. Everybody comes, you can sit anywhere. It sounds like a place I would wake up in the morning, say, yeah, I'm going to work. So it's really important, and I hope our other HR consultants and practitioners can take a listen and learn. Yeah, we don't have to be rigid.
Yeah,
I really have enjoyed talking to you. Now, I have a question.
Yes, Angela.
Looking at where you are today, if you could talk to the younger you, what would you tell Kezie?
Wow.
Now that you know what you know, if you could talk to the younger Kezie, what would you tell her?
When I was younger, I was so busy pushing for my HR career to eventually be a HR director and all that. Therefore, all these other side shows really didn't matter.
Now, when you say side shows, what do you mean?
Let me tell you, for example, I didn't want to know why, let's say, somebody in the office is sad or is not performing. I'm thinking, hey,
you are living by the rules. We have paths and career goals. All this. We have places.
Basically, I made a lot of mistakes. And because I wasn't aware of myself, aware of others, I didn't know that at the end of the day, it's not just delivering at what you need to deliver, but you can deliver it in a better way. So what I would say is AI needs to actually go into our education system. Because if you think about it, our kids who are leaving university or high school, they are looking at the world and all they want to do is get ahead. But as you're trying to get ahead, how many toes will you have stepped on? So I would say I would have wanted to have this I would have wanted to know these competencies, know them and then apply them. I applied a few of them here and there, but not with the knowledge. And I would have avoided very, very many mistakes. I would have most likely built better and stronger relationship over the years in the workplace.
So relationships is one thing. You'd go back to yourself and say, hey, you know what? Let's work on our relationships.
Yes.
Anything else you'd do differently?
What else would I do differently?
From the silence, no, she's got it right. I mean, she golfs, she hikes.
No,
she
I'm
does
trying to
many
think
other
it from
things.
from a HR perspective. But also,
if you were to speak to the younger you, not only as just as Kezie who is now, not just as a HR practitioner, but as Kezie, the person, the wholesome person.
There's a lot more to life than work or even family. There's so much you can spread yourself and do so much, but all you have to be is really be aware of who you are and where you're going and what and